Welcome everybody to the green team of the Legendarium. I'm your host Cesky, and today we have a special opportunity. We are going to be covering an arc we got. It's called Hemlock Silver by Kingfisher. But first, let me introduce who else will be talking about this book with me. I have Hurinfan, the Poison Monger.
Hi.
I have BefuddledPanda, our Snake Milker.
Hello.
And I have Jingalls, our Toxicologist.
Hola.
Hola. Welcome, everybody.
Well, what are you?
I am the host, as I said earlier.
You don't deal in poisons at all?
No.
Oh.
If I
He's
was to
above
tell
that.
you what I deal in, it would go in the spoiler section, if anything. No, I don't. I didn't think about myself here. So, yes. So first off, we're going to do a spoiler-free section of Hemlock Silver by Kingfisher. I wanted to say that we did get an arc from NetGalley, and we are so thankful for that. But the opinions here are our opinions, and we hopefully all had a very similar opinion here. I'm waiting to see.
When does the book come out?
Oh,
Chesky?
that's right. I have it pulled up actually right here. Thank you, Panda. Here it is. The book, Hemlock Silver, comes out August 19th, 2025 from Tor Books. So, did you want me to talk a little bit about Kingfisher? Do you guys know anything about her?
It's our first Kingfisher, so it might be good to just give a background.
Fine. Kingfisher, for our first time covering her, is a pen name of Ursula Vernon. And so if you look at Ursula Vernon, sorry, I didn't look at Ursula Vernon first because I just...
It also is a pen name of Ursula Vernon, who also writes.
Yes. Yep. She grew up in Oregon and Arizona, studied anthropology, and she's written many books, upwards of 27, including this one. So,
how long has she been writing?
A while. I do not know the exact number off the top of my head.
27 is an impressive number.
Yes. Some of them are children's books. She has written children's books and adult books more recently, starting with the Paladin's Grace book series is kind of what I feel like that's when she kind of started moving more into adult. So,
cool. Why does she use two different names?
That is a question for Kingfisher, and I don't know. I'm guessing it's to separate genres, where her Kingfisher is more fantasy, young adult to adult, and Ursula Vernon is more comics and graphic novels and younger kids. So, let's get this started, Panda. Did you like the book? Keep it spoiler free, remember?
I think of all of us, maybe I would like this book the least. I was disappointed. Especially like I went from not having read any Kingfisher, before like June of this year, to having now read 3 of her books in the span of like less than 2 months. And this one was my least favorite of the 3. So the other 2 I read was What Moves the Dead and A Sorcerer Comes to Call. And just after A Sorcerer Comes to Call, this is just not... It was disappointing. I really like the other 2.
I am sorry to hear that.
I know.
But hopefully the next book you read from her will bring her opinion back up. Jingles, tell me.
Yeah.
Oh, sorry. Jingles, tell me about it. Did you like it?
I enjoyed it. I think I'm a little more positive on it than Panda maybe, but having read some of her horror, like I have also read What Moves the Dead and The Hollow Places, I really liked those, especially for like Kingfisher's use of atmosphere in those books. I find to be really good, and you see glimpses of that in this book, but because it's not a full-on horror, it kind of took me out as well. So I'm still optimistic on this book. I enjoyed it, but not very much, not too much more than those ones.
Hurinfan, please tell me you are more on my side of this argument now.
I liked it more than Panda. Overall, I'm positive, but I don't plan on reading this again. And I can say that I liked it, but I also have a lot of problems with it.
Okay. That's fair. Well, I will give my opinion. I really liked it. I thought it was really good. Like Jingle said, I think that T. Kingfisher has an excellent ability to write that atmospheric horror where it's a little mix of dread and a little mix of just feeling unsettled. And she can weave that in really well. And there were a couple scenes in this book that really had that going. And I thought that was amazing. And I like the storyline. I thought it was great. So I actually really liked this one.
So what is the storyline? Like, what's the premise of this book?
Well, let me ask you if you guys caught this, because I didn't catch this until I was looking at reviews about it afterwards, but it's actually a Snow White retelling.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You didn't catch that?
I am very
The princess named Snow, and
Snow.
like she's
Hurin?
eating apples, and
Come on, apples are a constant in all fantasy books everywhere. Weird names is also a constant. It did not click for me.
It did not
No.
land
It's
with them.
fascinating.
Okay.
I would also say like there's a certain turn in the middle of this book where there's another piece of the Snow White fairy tale that's used incredibly prominently.
Yeah.
Well, I'm not saying it's not prominent. I'm saying that your boy Cesky just does not see it unless he's really looking for it. And I was just along for the ride and having a great
my
time.
gosh. You know what? Maybe that's why you enjoyed it the most, because you didn't have that coloring your read of this. Because I was very intrigued when I read the premise and it was about like a Snow White retelling, but from a completely different perspective. Like, it's not the queen, it's not Snow White, it's not even the huntsman or anything, right? And it's just a completely fresh perspective. And then things happen in the book, and I'm like, okay, this is dragging on a little too long. So
No, I try to go into most books as blind as I can. So I generally don't read anything about books except for like the back cover or what you could find like that.
it says
so.
it on the back.
I didn't read the back cover for this one because I had the book and I knew I was
There was
going to
no
read
back
it.
cover.
So I
Yeah.
wasn't needing to. I didn't need to go research whether I was going to like the book. I knew I was going to read it. So there was no need
Fair.
to check.
Fair.
All
I
right,
will
let
say
me.
that this
Go ahead
is
here.
much more loose retelling of Snow White than like the other Kingfisher book I read, which was damn, what was it? Sleeping Beauty? Which one
It's
was the one?
Thornhedge.
Thornhedge.
Yeah. That
Yeah.
one
And
is a lot more
Thornhedge-
obviously Sleeping Beauty.
And Thornhedge was a novella, so it's like
That's true.
I think this book was a bit too long for the story it had to tell.
I agree, but we'll get into that later.
Let me give you just a spoiler-free plot synopsis. Our main character, Anya, is a girl who just likes poisons, and she is recruited by the king to treat his daughter who has a mysterious illness. And that's about as much as I can say without spoiling anything.
Good job.
She gets to the castle, she investigates, and things are discovered and found out. So, tell me, Jingles, you mentioned the atmosphere earlier a little bit. Tell me about the atmosphere in a spoiler-free way. Did she do good with it? Did she do bad with it? What do you think?
I think she did well with it, but like I said, most of my experience with Kingfisher is through her horror, and I think she is pulling back a little bit in this one. Like there's a lot more quirkiness and a lot more I mean, it's a fairy tale adaptation, right? Or retelling, so there's a lot more whimsy to it maybe at the beginning than there is at the end, which delves back into that kind of horror, tense, suspenseful atmosphere, because once certain things start happening, you start realizing that there's a lot more danger than maybe was initially presumed, which is crazy considering like she's going to figure out why someone is in danger. So
Sure. Yeah.
yeah. But yeah, so I think that's where I kind of have like really mixed feelings about this book, is because it does like pivot hard in the center. And I say that it pivots, but the character of Anya tries to stay in that first half the entire time.
Yeah, I was going to ask
Um,
if you think it's the character and their personality and how they communicate, because this character breaks the fourth wall quite a bit,
yeah.
and if that's why.
And that's what, like, you know, I think at times she seems a lot younger to me than she actually is supposed to be too, which also kind of confuses me at times. But that's
Okay. These are all fair thoughts. I'm glad you're getting them out here for us. Kieran, did you want to talk about style right now, or did you want to save it for the spoiler section?
I suppose I can give a little bit. First, I want to give a warning. I was the first one to finish this book. I finished it months ago, and then we decided a recording date. I checked my phone for my notes. I got a new phone, so I lost all of my notes.
no.
So I spent the last week or so like just skimming and trying to remember some of my thoughts. So I'm
Mhm.
mostly just working on vibes right now. I'd say if I had a single problem with this book that if I had to pick one problem from this book, it would be the style. And it's not because I don't think Kingfisher is a good stylist. She is. But have you all read From Elfland to Poughkeepsie by Ursula K. Le Guin?
Long time ago.
No.
Nope.
Okay. I would highly recommend it for people who I don't like fantasy, because it's Ursula K. Le Guin's like defense of fantasy and the use of style in fantasy and how it kind of takes us away into another world, and how the style is such an important part of what makes fantasy fantasy. And I think G. Kingfisher does not subscribe to Le Guin's thoughts on this, because her style, not only the style, but the dialogue and the, I want to say, attitudes are very modern.
Mhm.
And that really takes me out of the story a lot. The way that our POV works, and she's like quipping, or like I said, she has modern sensibilities, which, I mean, there's nothing wrong with that, but it's kind of grating, especially when she's speaking in her dialogue with other people inside the world. Like usually when we're given such a close POV, and it is just her POV, and it's supposed to be inside her thoughts and inside the way that she feels, and it just feels so modern, it really takes me out of the story.
Okay, that's fair. It did not bother me. So when you're saying that she's not subscribing to that, do you mean that just the use of being more modern in the styling is kind of
Yes.
what she's going against? Okay.
Like the way that people talk and the way that they interact with each other, and it doesn't have an elevated style with what we associate it with, like older works, such as Tolkien or MacDonald, or really Le Guin, because she was really good at that when writing fantasy.
I will have to think about that some more.
That is an interesting thing to reflect on, because one of the books that I read of hers that I really enjoyed was The Hollow Places, and it is actually a more modern setting. Like they're in a shop in New England or something like that in the 2000s, and so that never really bothered me. But now that you're
I
saying
think I
it
would actually
here,
like some of her other stuff if we're
yeah,
in a modern setting, because like that's what consistently took me out, was just like, why are they talking like this? This is not natural, or it doesn't
yeah.
feel natural. It lacks a verisimilitude, in my opinion.
Well, I think that's also part of like why I feel like Anya feels younger than she actually is because of the quippiness and everything. Like this is a person who is like in her mid 30s, I think, and she often sounds like a teenager. um, so yeah, it's a little odd.
I don't know. I'm in a small defense. I'm in my mid 30s, and sometimes I sound like a teenager to myself in my head.
I say
so-
that like I don't, but yeah, I absolutely do too. I totally get it. Yeah.
You can say the teenager jokes, and they'll still land for me. They probably shouldn't, but they will.
Yeah.
Let's see. Panda,
think-
did you have anything? Oh, sorry.
Well, like for the characterization of Anya, she is basically considered a spinster because she's not married at her age in this society. She's been very single-minded and focused on her work. That's what she loves. She loves learning about poisons and toxicology, and she sees a person who has been poisoned as it's the problem of being poisoned with a person attached to it, as one of
Mhm.
her mentors described her, as opposed to, oh, this is a person who's a patient that needs to be cured. And I think that kind of characterization helps me with her, how she speaks, how she interacts with other humans, because she just
Mhm.
tends to not socialize. She's not a very well socialized person. And given the situation where she's coming into contact with the king of the land, and she's like, I have no idea how I'm supposed to behave. I only have like stereotypes and what I think should be proper behavior or not, given the prestige of this person, right? So she's like interacting with basically a different world for her and navigating that. So I get the modernness thing. I think for me, it was just how repetitive some of the quips were. And there's a whole other like side to this story that I was just like not I was not in the mood for or vibing with. And I was like, this totally could work without this element. And
If
the
you're
book would have
referring
been
to
shorter.
the element, I think you are, Panda. That was one of the better elements of the whole book.
I agree. That was the part where I actually got excited.
Let me see
dear.
if this rings true, Panda here. I got to about
dear.
35% of the way through, and I was like, I really hope this fantasy book has a little bit of magic in it.
Oh, no, that part's fine.
Oh, okay.
Well,
Never
I
mind.
still have some I still have qualms about it. It's another element that we'll talk about in spoilers.
That's fine. Let's get into I think unless anybody else has anything for the non-spoiler section, I think we're going to move into our spoiler section.
One more thing.
Yes,
Just still in style though. I also I thought the characterization was a little blunt for what I usually like, and what Panda said, it was kind of repetitive, almost like this is not. I don't think this is a YA novel, but in some ways it kind of felt like one stylistically, in that it reminded you and repeated things that were didn't really need to be, and it's not very long either. Not I think that's great. It's not very long, but Panda said it was a little too long, and I still agree. I think it could have been shorter if they just cut out some of the fat. Again, we got an arc though, so who's to say?
Right. All right. Well, you guys are all entitled to your opinions, right or wrong as they may be. So let's
I was
move
really
into our
hoping for
spoiler
a
section.
Chesky rant for
Oh,
this
no,
one.
I'm
And I
sorry.
guess
The
I'm not
Chesky-
gonna get it.
The Chesky rant on this one is that it was amazing, and there were so many cool things that happened, and like so much excitement, and the unsettling, creepy horror. Okay, we're in the spoiler section. If you haven't read Hemlock and Silver, you can go out and rent it from your library if you're not inclined to spend the money. But if you want to spend the money, go buy it. 3 out of 4 really liked it. 1 out of 4 really liked it, and 1 met on it. But
I don't think that math added quite up.
it does. I liked it, and I really liked it. So it works,
Please
right?
double
I'm sorry.
count.
I'm
Double
double
counting.
counting myself because as the host, I'm allowed to do that. That's going to conclude our discussion, you guys, for Hemlock and Silver. Thank you so much for joining me. It's been a blast having you guys here. I want to give a couple shout outs really quick. Thank you to Horizon Brave for starting the green team of the Legendarium. Thank you to the Jingle Punks for their song Galactic Damages, which is our intro and outro music. Thanks to Craig for loaning us this little corner of his media empire of the Legendarium. Hurin, Panda, and Jingalls, thank you so much. We'll see everybody in the next one.
Thank you. Bye.
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 Adios.